Top 10 Best Dark and Horror Anime. Hello and welcome back, fellow geniuses. Today we'll be going down the top 10 best dark and horror anime out there. These tend to have some disturbing premises, so you've been warned. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe as we cover top 10 anime videos every week. That being said, let's get into it. Number 10, Darker Than Black. Starting off this list properly, we have Darker Than Black. With a title like that, you're probably asking how it's only at number 10. Darker Than Black follows a mercenary by the name of Hei. In this world, there are contractors that can use superpowers but always have to pay a price of some sort, and the price is almost always disturbing. The more they use the power, the bigger the price, but it's always the same for a specific person. Some have to smoke even though they hate it, some have to break their fingers, and for some, to just use their power, their contract requires them to spill out their own blood. It's an interesting take, and whenever a new contractor is introduced, you can't help but wonder what his power and price are. The story mostly follows the capture of various villains who use their powers to cause mayhem. But there's a lot of death and violence in the anime, so if you're into that kind of stuff, be sure to give it a go. By the way, the main character has a power, but no cost. Number 9. Akame Ga Kill. This anime follows a group called the Night Raid, which is a private organization with the sole purpose to kill the corrupted Prime Minister Honest. Now, Honest himself alone would be enough to make any dark anime list, as he's a really horrible human being, killing poor people, using his position for power, and so on. Since the main cast is a bunch of assassins, you can imagine that the anime will have a darker tone. If you're still not convinced, spoiler alert in 3, 2, 1. Literally everyone dies. The anime is packed with special powers, a great cast, and more importantly, a crazy good plot, so be sure to give it a go if you still haven't. Number 8. Monster. The story of this anime starts with a surgeon called Kenzo Tenma. He performs surgery that is not on the protocol to a dying boy, doing everything in his power wishing he could save him. He manages to save the boy, and a few years later, their relationship turns from doctor and patient to cop and murderer. The boy turns out to be a cold-blooded killer, and Tenma feels guilty for saving his life, as that costs many others. The horror in this anime isn't as visual as some of the ones we'll go over on this list, but it hits hard by illustrating just how ugly of a being a human can get. Makes you think and sometimes even feel a little disgusted. But what can you expect? This is a list of the darkest anime. Number 7. Higurashi When They Cry. Although it would have been symbolic to have this anime at number 4, there are even darker ones coming. This anime is a great example to not judge a book by its cover. At first glance, it looks like an ecchi harem anime. The main character goes to a village and meets 4 girls who appear to all like him somehow. The setup is so innocent at first, but this soon changes as he learns of certain events that happen every 4 years in that village. Every 4 years, a person dies. And they don't just disappear, they're killed. As you may have guessed it, the main character is trying to solve the mystery of who the murderer is, while they're actually way closer than he might think. If you're the type to get easily frustrated, you might want to skip this one, as it can be insanely brutal at times. Number 6. Parasyte. Now, let's be blunt. If you have a phobia of body parts, don't watch this anime. There's an insane amount of body horror in this anime, and it's done brilliantly. When some alien spores spread around the earth, different parasites get to infect some humans. These humans gain the ability to transform at will, but they do gain an appetite for other humans. One of the parasites, however, fails to take control of his host, and they form more of an alliance as they have to survive in this world full of parasites. There are some really disturbing scenes, but overall everything about the anime is great, from the animation to the plotline, even down to the philosophical value. Make sure to give it a go unless you have the phobia we mentioned earlier. Number 5. Tokyo Ghoul. This list wouldn't be really a list about dark anime without Tokyo Ghoul. The story follows Kaneki, who goes on a date with a popular girl who turns out to be a ghoul. She, however, can't seem to get enough human flesh. Ghouls live in this society undercover, and they have to eat human flesh to survive. So this girl drives Kaneki into an isolated spot and starts ripping into him like a butcher. Thanks to an accident, Kaneki manages to escape, but some of his organs are replaced by ghoul parts, otherwise he'll die. He becomes a half ghoul, half human, and his life is turned upside down. The anime has a really dark undertone and can make you really think about life plenty of times while you're watching it. But you guys are geniuses and nothing can really stop you from enjoying a great series. Number 4. Hellsing Ultimate. In this anime, Hellsing isn't really a person. It's an organization that is dedicated to stopping supernatural creatures such as vampires. The twist here is that in this organization, the most successful killer of them all is a vampire himself. The ultimate badass vampire to be exact. He goes by the name of Alucard. Why don't you guys take a minute and try to say his name backwards? Alucard is the most powerful vampire up to date. No one in the organization can kill him, and since he's bored, he tries fighting other vampires to get a little bit of a thrill from his eternal existence. There's more bloodshed in this show than any other anime I've seen, and the story has many scenes of psychological torture. So if you like to watch anime about vampires, this one is for you. Number 3. Another. Starting up our top 3, we have Another. This anime is more on the creepy side, as we have a girl here called Misaki Mei. The problem is that the teacher and her classmates keep acting as if she's still alive. This leads to some crazy events where many students die as a result. We have a transfer student by the name of Koichi Sakakibara who enters the class. Soon after people start dying, he meets a girl called Mei and finds out the mystery of these murders as well as an incredibly disturbing past surrounding Misaki's death. The anime has an incredibly dark tone and is something you'd want to watch during the day. The trouble with sleeping has been reported as a great success of the creators of the show, so you've been warned. Number 2. Death Note. Before you get salty in the comments, Death Note would win many other lists for being on the best anime out there. The list is just more based on how disturbing the anime is, in combination with how good it is. And while Death Note is truly a masterpiece, you'll soon see why it's not number 1. For those of you who still haven't seen Death Note, however, it's a story about a notebook that whosever name you write in it dies. Light Yagami finds this notebook and decides to change the world by getting rid of criminals forever. The show is a mental war between Light Yagami, or Kira, and the world's greatest detective, L. The show is full of crazy mind games, manipulation, death, deduction, and even a little bit of insanity, so be sure to watch it if you haven't. Death Note is the most recommended series to get someone who's not an anime fan into anime. Just trust us and give it a watch. Before we reveal our number 1 pick, if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell to get notified the next time we drop an anime top 10 video you'd be interested in. And now, onto number 1. Number 1. The Promised Neverland. This is an anime about an orphanage called the Gracefield House. The anime starts so innocently and nicely. The children are happy and live together with their mom, who cares for them and looks after them. Nothing wrong with this anime at all. Without spoiling too much, the orphanage has a terrible secret. Something really messed up is going on and none of the kids know about it. 3 kids, however, find out about this and decide to work together to help all the kids escape the horror they're bound to experience if they stay. While this anime wouldn't really be classified as horror, it's the most disturbing one in the lot, always keeping you on your toes and having the darkest undertone of them all. It doesn't have your typical jump scares where there's more shock value than an actual psychic scare. No. It puts you in this mood where you anticipate something is about to happen, and when it doesn't and your head is finally in a good space and you're calmed down, it finally does. It puts you in the shoes of the children from the orphanage, and that's what makes this thriller anime so brilliant. It's regarded as a masterpiece for a reason, and you have to check it out if you haven't. There it is, guys. These were our picks for the top 10 best dark or horror anime out there. Did we miss anything? Make sure to tell us down in the comments below. What are the darkest and scariest anime out there that you've watched? Also, be sure to let us know if there's any other top 10 anime list you'd like to see us do next. That's all for this video, and until next time, be careful with the spooks, fellow geniuses.